is Vanessa Montañez, along with my two co-hosts and founders, Chantal Camarillo and Rosario Lawrence. And we all three of us are in the mortgage industry, and we happen to do leader talks. It came out of an idea from the pandemic. We wanted to start a forum for women and those who support women on how to empower, enrich, and educate others on important topics that are relevant to us, topics that hold meaning to us. So today we wanted to go ahead and talk about vision boards part two. But what's different about this vision board is we're actually going to meet a subject matter expert, somebody who lives and breathes vision boards and actually is the creator and founder of creating his own vision board book, which we'll get into in a little bit. But typically, a vision board is a collage or image along a poster board or piece of paper where you're putting all your pictures, your visuals, your affirmations, your favorite quotes on what you want to happen. What do you want to accomplish? And it could be from a 1 year goal to a 5 year goal to a 10 year goal, but you're putting all that information on a piece of board. I personally believe in vision boards because I've been doing them for the last 15 years and I know they work. Every time I see what I want to do and accomplish that year, I just set my mind to it. And they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and I completely agree with it because when you see that vision board, you're just, manifesting out there what you want to create for your destiny, what you want to create for your goals and your inner desires and dreams. So, along with that, today I want to go ahead and introduce T. Hearns, and I'm going to go ahead and read his impressive bio. So T. Hearn teaches strategies on how to manifest and execute vision and purpose. He embodies that belief by all things are possible. In alignment with this belief, he created the Possible Life Vision Board Book, a holistic vision planner that provides an in-depth blueprint on creating and executing a vision. His passion extends into the community where he has worked with at-risk youth in the prison system for over 15 years. Congratulations, T, that is impressive. And he's teaching them how to create and change for the betterment, that vision of their life. As a successful entrepreneur, he also has over 20 years of experience in the vision and media, and he's helped businesses with nonprofit organizations execute brand strategies and organizational visions through his multimedia company, Hearns Media. He holds a bachelor's degree in media from Ball State University and a master's from Indiana Wesleyan University. He is motivated to lead by example in pursuing your dreams while helping others realize their possible life. So with that, welcome T. We're excited that you're here.
Thank you for
And
having me.
I will get started now with our first question.
Okay.
Ms. Rosario.
Thank you for having us or having you here with us today. So just to kick it off, what really got you started and was the genesis of starting this career in vision boards and why? What was its purpose for you? How did it serve?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you, ladies, for having me. I appreciate being here. It's awesome to be a part of LeadHER and this talk about vision and vision boards. So my journey began probably a little over 10 years ago. I started creating vision boards, and what was happening is that on a regular basis, like let's say year after year, during the process of creating vision boards, I started to notice is that they would take a journey, right? So I would create a vision board and I would put it on the wall, or I'd put it in my office, and that journey would go from the wall to the floor to the closet. And I will be thinking to myself, hey, I got to keep my vision in front of me. But just for aesthetic purposes, I will be thinking to myself, I'm missing something. And then also, I felt like there was a gap missing because I'm a planner, right? So I often use goal setting and planning planners throughout the year, yearly planners. And so I would be like, oh, there's something missing with my vision board. And even though I'm putting these images on here and I'm putting my affirmations together and I'm investing good energy in my spirit concerning the thing that I desire and I want, I just kept feeling like there was something missing in the gap. And so I started to think, I said, well, it would be great if I had something that I could keep in front of me, but also gave me a plan to work towards my vision. So that was kind of the process of me working towards the vision board book, which I created. But the journey for vision boards, the genesis of that idea was pretty much like various other individuals, just an excitement behind wanting to visualize and see what my future could be like. And then as it evolved, it became, well, what can I do, to not only take the vision of my future, but then also accompany it with some planning and some goals. So now it's just not creating a vision, but it's putting together a process to bring that vision to life. So that's the beginning of it, the journey of it. So I started with trying to find something online. I couldn't find anything that no one else had created. And so I started to toy with the idea of what if I could put a vision board and a planner in the same, package. And then I started to design, and I started to create some samples and some ideas for myself, and just kind of started to start a circle of conversation with some peers and some colleagues about their thoughts. I said, well, what did you think about, working with vision boards, and what if you had a planner to go along with it? And it sparked some interest. And so I just kept diving into it. Next thing you know, I started to create and evolve the creation of this vision board book, where now not only can you create a vision or vision boards, plural, but you can also put together a process and a plan to execute that vision itself. And I just want to take a small step back real quick and say that in my bio, she talked about me working with young people in the prison system, right? So that was a key some years back when I started doing vision boards, because I would talk to these young men about doing vision, is that I realized is that a lot of our young people are lacking vision when it comes to their future. And I'm not saying all of them, just a lot of the ones who end up in unfortunate situations or may end up in trouble. It's a lack of vision that got them in that place, because they didn't have anything to look forward to, and they didn't have a process in place to get there. So that in the back of my head, that was always something that was kind of tugging at me also, is that as much as I'm talking to these young men, I would love to be able to help them to put together a process. So, it was lingering back there. And then, through the years, it became part of that process of growth as well, as far as the development where I continued at. So, a little bit of me involved with, thinking of, what I needed out of my vision board, and then a little bit of thinking about, some kids that I've been working with and how I could help them out.
That's beautiful. Just to know that it's a 2-in-1, so it's also a vision board book and a planner, but more importantly, that you're able to go ahead and share with others, such as, these at-risk youth group that you were helping with in, whether it was juvenile hall or the prison system, that you were able to help them and coach them and navigate and have them as a mentor with this book that you gave. So along those lines, which I totally commend you for, what has been one of the best examples that you can share with your readers that you have personally experienced a success with your vision board, beyond the creation of it, right? But something that you applied and it became true, whether for you or for one of your readers, that you can share that just comes up to mind.
Yeah, so one of the things that I talk about in a few of my conversations that I continue to have, whether I'm speaking or webinars, I talk about there's a secret sauce to this, right? And it's called AC, and that's the accountability and the consistency. And if you put that secret sauce, like think about barbecue sauce, hot sauce, something that we gotta have on everything. If you put that on your favorite food, it's just gonna make it that much more greater. Well, that's what I say about AC. If you put that AC on something, then you're gonna find great success. And one of the success stories is kind of a flipped scenario when it comes to the physical health part of our vision. So inside the Possible Life Vision Board book, there are 5 subject life areas which talk to our whole being. Well, I had an individual who had purchased the book, and she had been keeping in touch with me with her journey. And part of her physical health vision board was not to lose weight, but to gain weight. And so it was very interesting to me. I said, well, tell me about your journey. And she said, well, I've always been a smaller size woman, and I actually desire to pick up weight. And I said, okay, let's talk about it. So she started telling me about her vision and how she put together, some images on her vision board. And inside the vision board book, you have goals. And she said, well, I put a goal down that if I could gain 2 pounds over the next 2 weeks, and if I can gain 5 pounds a month. And she just kept saying, different ideas that she had, and she started to put them down. And then she put together an eating plan to go along with it. And I said, well, look there. I said, you created some accountability by writing it down. And then your follow through and your consistency now has started to produce some results that you desire. So it was a very interesting journey as far as our conversation. And we have been talking about it. We had continued the conversation over 3, 4, 5 months. And so now she's like, one day, now per our last conversation, she was very excited, like, oh, I picked up weight. I actually gained weight. And I was like, man, that's so exciting. So it's a little bit opposite than some of us who say, oh, we want to lose weight. She said, I want to gain weight. And so it was a really interesting take on it. So I was really excited for her and her journey. She said that implementing the book and the idea behind the vision board book was really helped to change her life because it gave her some consistency. And inside the book, it's not just creating your goals, but there's a year's worth of weekly planning, right? So not just am I going to put pictures and images and visualize what I want for my future and have affirmations, but I'm putting a plan together that I have to execute weekly, and not being scared of the redundancy either, because if I'm putting down, I'm taking the same walk or the same run, or I'm putting the same $100 away, that consistency, that level of determination grows and it brings manifestation. So that's an example of her. One of my great examples has been my journey as an entrepreneur, right? So I have had a vision. I know you said that outside of the book itself, but I've had a vision of my company, my organization, and the ability to be able to help individuals and to be able to reach out and touch lives. So, I put those type of things in the business side of my vision board, as well as in my personal self-care, because it feeds me, it makes me smile, so that journey itself has really been a part of my success as far as the reflection of my vision board, being able to put it on there and then being able to say, okay, here's some goals and here's a process that I want to put in place to execute, to bring it to life.
That's awesome, T. So just out of curiosity, I was reading somewhere that there's an actual science, right, in terms of visualizing behind the whole vision boards. And can you talk a little bit about that phenomenon? And also, there's also the belief that you should verbally say it out loud, right, as a method of just affirming your vision board. So share with us, with our viewerships on that.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, so there is science behind it, and it's pretty exciting. So the science that we're looking at when we talk about vision boards is steeped in visualization. Okay, so it is about priming the brain. And what happens is that when we visualize something, there is a connection between our subconscious thoughts and our reality. Because at a level that we don't quite all the way understand, there is a reality that our subconscious mind believes what it sees until we tell it different, right? So I often ask this in a group of people. I say, has anybody in here, and you guys can participate, right? Has anybody in here ever had a bad dream that they woke up from and either their heart was racing or they were almost moving as if they were being chased in the dream or falling, right? Yeah, it's because what's happening is that your subconscious mind believes it's taking place and your body is responding to it. So you're visualizing something in your dreams and now your body is responding to it. So there is a connection between, but it's not real though. It's like a movie. It's just playing on the screen of my brain. Well, it's actually your brain believes it's happening. So the bigger part of the science is about visualization. And there was a study also by Harvard, if I'm correct. It's called the piano study. And what they did is that they did a test where they took 3 different groups and they put them in a room with a piano. The first group that they sat in there continuously for 5 days for a certain amount of time, they did nothing. The second group that they put in there, they actually visualized playing the piano. The third group, they actually practiced playing the third piano, right? So the first group, they didn't do anything, just sat in the room. Second group, they actually put in there, they just said, visualize these specific keys that we're going to give you and just be repetitious with them. The third group actually acted out. Well, when they went back to review the brain studies behind the individuals that participated, the second and the third group had an increase in the same part of the brain as far as the learning and repetition of growing and playing the piano. So the individuals in the second group, they didn't play the piano, they just went over the repetitious keys. They had growth in that part of the brain that was responding to learning how to play the piano. So there is some science behind it, and we've heard a million times how athletes themselves continue to use visualization to prep for their competitions. It was very known in Russia as far as some of their practices where they would say, okay, look, what we're going to do is we're going to put you through a form of meditation, a place of visualization. where they say, okay, now we're going to think about the outcome and the process of getting there. So seeing yourself go through it. And there's one quick story, and I'll move on here, about Kobe Bryant. I love Kobe Bryant, right? It said that Kobe Bryant would be in the gym and he would be practicing without a basketball. And he would be taking shots without the basketball. And somebody asked him, well, what are you doing? He said, well, I'm visualizing myself in the game. I'm seeing myself go through the motions. So visualization primes our brain to be prepared for moments and to participate in moments once we're there, right? So it gets us in that place. Tiger Woods has also been known to practice visualization. So it's all about priming the brain. It's about getting your subconscious to be able to mirror the reality of what you want to see. And so when you start putting items on your vision board, your brain starts to believe, hey, that could be a reality. That could be something that could come to life. And it's the same thing with affirmations. As we continue on, there is an energy in our words that is carried. So when I say to you, you're beautiful, you feel it.
Thank you.
When I say to you, you know, if I compliment you, you feel that energy and it's transferred. Well, that's what happens with affirmations. When we speak positivity and we speak life into ourselves or to the things on our vision board, it moves and it carries a power behind it. And the more that we say it and we can implant those thoughts in our brain, the positive energy and the idea of what's taking place can start to move in those thoughts. And your brain can start to connect with the visual part of, I believe this. I am going to be successful at this part of my vision board. I'm going to see.
Yeah, that's amazing. Honestly, it's like we're basically creating a blueprint, right? By visualizing of what's possible. But again, without that secret sauce, right? Accountability and consistency. Because I think when you mention some of these amazing, you know, Kobe Bryant, Tiger Woods, it's all about that secret sauce, the AC, right? What do you think, Rosario?
I agree. I'm sitting here just reflecting on everything you've talked about. You talked about the consistency, which is key, but the visualization and how important our mental, you know, mental stamina and our believe or over believing and visualizing it and putting it out there. But yet accountability is always important. So along those lines is we have many of our viewers and our LeadHERs and just people in general who say, okay, it's January 1st. I am going to have my vision board set up January 1st. It's going to be out there. So is there a right time to start one is number one. Like, for example, Q4, start prepping it, or does it even matter? Or what about also the length of time? Because many of us set like annual goals. Is it okay even saying, hey, I'm going to start with a 6-month visualization, a vision board? So tell us a little bit of what your thoughts are around that.
Good, great question. I often say maximize the moment. So never put off this idea of moving later in life, which you could start today. Maximize today's moment. And so when you start to visualize and have something in your thoughts, don't say, let's say that it's June. You don't want to wait to December to move in that thought and that idea. Maximize where you are today and say, let me capture it. So I often encourage individuals, whenever you're feeling like I need to start making a transition or start planning and start visualizing my future, I say start today. Don't put it off and don't wait for the New Year's resolution. Don't look forward to Q4, because what happens is that we'll draw ourselves into different spaces, right? So think about the seasons. We got, you know, summer, then we got fall, then we got winter, we got spring. Those are seasons of change. And like that, we move ourselves. So if you're waiting to get through a certain season, then you're procrastinating and putting off those things that could be taking place in this season. And you can say, you know what, it's summertime. You know, let me take advantage of where I'm at today. Or if you get started in the winter, any time of the year is a great time to get started with vision boards. I don't think it's just about, you know, just capturing the first part of the year or just capturing going into Q4. I really think it's about, whether it's a conversation I'm having in March or May, whenever it may be, let me figure out how I could get started today, especially for people that have moments of needing to figure out how they're going to get to a different space, right? So let's say, for example, you're transitioning in your employment. Well, part of creating that vision may be, I need to start thinking about shifting it or making adjustments to my current vision now. You know, and if that's in the mid part of the year, I don't want to wait to Q4 to start visualizing that. Let me start that process now. You know, or the life of our loved ones. Let's say you fall in love, right? You had on your vision board, Mr. or Mrs. Right. Okay. You know, well, if you start visualizing that love and it starts to manifest itself, you don't want to have to put off adding any more to that energy in Q4 or first part of the year. So I would say get started and maximize the moment of whatever it's something that's moving on you. And I definitely think that that's the same thing with planning. You know, I personally will start planning and shifting throughout the year in general, right? So I've grabbed planners that don't even start until June or July. Like I'm not waiting to say, oh, okay, I'll find that planner and it'll be like, oh, we're starting in June, and it goes from June 2021 to June to May of June of 2022. So just capture that moment, live inside of it.
Speaking of moments, and I'm going to go off cuff here,
No
we were not prepared for the pandemic.
Nope.
This was an anomaly. It hit us like, you know, a tidal wave, a hurricane, an earthquake. How do we recalculate and recalibrate with the vision board, knowing that we have this pandemic around us? How do we make that positivity? Because we are right now, for example, most of us are here in California. You're not in California, but we're ground zero for the pandemic. How do we sustain and make this a better environment out of the pandemic with the vision board?
Okay. Well, first of all, let me acknowledge and say, you know, my hearts are with the state in general. I have loved ones in California, and so I do understand that it could be a challenge. So my heart's with the state, with the country, with the world when it comes to this pandemic. I think that allowing ourselves the flexibility of change is important. So sometimes when we're creating our vision, because we paste, we tape, we glue, we think that it's set in concrete, but it's not. You know, we're evolving creatures. I often say this sometimes when I'm sharing. I say we're defined by our emotional truths, right? Because today we could say something, but then when something in life shifts or changes, we may have a different feeling about it. Well, it's the same thing with our vision. Let your heart be guided by the emotional movement at the time that it needs to. So we realize, oh, I hurt right now, right? So part of me may move now to want to be inspired to help or to volunteer or to be a part of that. Well, I'm gonna have to adjust my vision for that. You know, I'm gonna have to say, let me go into that and think about that, because, you know, we talked about earlier, even our travel and our connection via being together is that if we take it from a business perspective, I may have said, look, I plan on speaking at 25 events this year, right? Well, I got to shift that vision because I can't speak live at 25 events because people aren't traveling the same and conferences aren't taking the same. But if I say, you know what, we're in a different space, let me shift a little bit and let me adjust to where we are. And that comes in all parts of our lives. I know I use the example of volunteering, but it could be the same thing with our health, because, you know, that's another subject life area, your physical health and what's taking place. Let's say, for example, you actually contracted the virus, right? You know, part of your vision in that time is that, oh, I was planning on running a 5K or I was planning on participating in something. Well, I may have to shift a little bit to get myself more healthy, depending on where I'm at or what's taking place. So, you know, with our hearts and our minds for serving other people and being with other people, I also think it's a good thing for us just to pull back at times like this, look at our vision and see, like, you know, how do I make the adjustment in each area based upon where we are? You know, so if part of my business and my employment is travel, I'm gonna have to shift it. If part of my relationships were about connecting and going out to brunch, and they were about you know, spending time with others, you know, over dinner and fellowshipping, I may have to you know, transition that a little bit. You know, so just thinking about how you can move. I guess you want to say kind of like you know, as Bruce Lee said, be the water. You know, take the shape of the form of the water.
Right.
Be like water, you know, then be like that. Just transition with it and move with it, and realize you don't have to be rigid when it comes to your vision. You know, you could actually look out and say, you know what, I need to make some changes, or I need to make some adjustments.
Excellent. That's great. Just be agile like water.
Yeah.
And it's time for reflection. So thank you for sharing. And as we close, one of our questions we ask all our guests is, what does LeadHER mean to you?
So I thought about three things. I thought about vision, synergy, and movement when it comes to LeadHER. You guys, and I'll say as a collective, have a vision, right? That it now will move beyond 3 people, 5 people, 7 people, 15 people, 20 people, for change, for growth, for community, for being able to lead her. It's going to be a bigger picture here, right? So capturing that vision and making sure that that is something that is planted. I mean, like in the soil of who you guys are, and in the soul of the organization, is something that I think that will produce so many more great seeds. And the synergy, the like-mindedness, the ability for you guys to say, yes, let's do this. I'm reading a book right now, and it said friendship is about the connection and the agreement on going in a certain direction together. So the synergy to say, look, we're going to create something, and we're going to go in this direction. It means a lot. It means a lot more than the idea of us coming up with something that will define an organization by numbers, more than something that will define an organization visually, what people see. It's about the hearts and the people you're connected to. It's about you guys saying we're going arm in arm, hand in hand. So leading her, leading us, leading together, that synergy, and then the movement. And what happens is that, you know, sometimes something is heavy to move by ourselves, but when we get 2 or 3 people behind us, it gets lighter. 4 or 5 people, you know, as you continue to add the numbers. So you guys, you know, continuing to grow, having that movement, having that sense of togetherness is something powerful to see. You'll be able to make change. And you know, right before we started recording, we just talked about the great movement that took place today, you know, in our country, you know, with the shifting in the president and the vice president, is something that we haven't seen before. So, you know, with you guys, or you ladies rather, positioning yourselves, you're part of a movement. You're part of something that's going to be great, you know, and I'm excited about it.
Wow, I am speechless, and just so moved by what you really just said about LeadHER Talks and what a LeadHER means to you. And I'm so blessed to have these 2 other amazing women in my life, and we're so lucky to have had you today. True treat. So with that, in closing, I want to let all our LeadHERs know, we hope the second segment of the vision board has provided all of you with further inspiration. I know I'm walking away on cloud 9 right now. For your 2021 LeadHER Talks Challenge, or any other 2021 goal and plan that you have set forth. So in the spirit of the LeadHER Talk Challenge, we will be taking this vision board to a whole other level. And I am super excited that we have T. Hearns here, who will host a seminar for all our LeadHER audience, and that will be free. So there is, you know, that is huge to have someone of his caliber and go over his book, which is titled The Possible Vision Board Book, which you heard a little bit about. It's a board book, but also a planner, which will help us all with tangible, actionable, bite-sized items that we can make happen and reach our goals. So with that, the event will be held March 18th, 2021 from 5 to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So looking forward to that, because we will hear and explore personal care, mental, spiritual, financial, business, relational, family, physical health. So come prepared, come ready to get to work alongside with T. Hearns. So next week, LeadHERs, is going to be one you also do not want to miss at all. We will have a superintendent of the Glendora School District out in California, in Los Angeles, California. We will be discussing Distance Learning 2021, that next chapter. I know many of us parents and families and the workforce out there, it continues to be one that is evolving and changing, but it's specifically around our students. With the current state of education, virtual learning, when are schools potentially going to open up? What are the vaccination process looks like for even the staff? How is that all coming together? And also we're looking at, what's going to, happen next for our graduates. We're going to have class of 2021 about to graduate. How are they going to look to celebrate? I know that was huge for class of 2020, but we cannot forget about class of 2021. So with that being said, don't forget to like us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, share our feeds with others just like yourself, other leaders, to join our forum where we hope to enrich, educate, and empower all LeadHERs like yourself. So with that being said, have a great day and hope to see you guys next week.